today to see you. Oh, I had to let you know. If I knew the last time that I held you was the last time, I'd have held you and never let go. Oh, it's kept me awake nights wondering. I lie in the dark just asking why. I've always been told you won't be called home until it's your time. I guess heaven was needing a hero, somebody just like you, brave enough to stand up for what you believe and follow it through. When I try to make it make sense in my mind, the only conclusion I come to is heaven was needing a hero like you. I remember the last time I saw you. Oh, you held your head up proud. I laughed inside when I saw how you were standing out in the crowd. You're such a part of who I am. Now that part will just be void. No matter how much I need you now, heaven needed you more. 'Cause heaven was needing a hero, somebody just like you, brave enough to stand up for what you believe and follow it through. When I try to make it make sense in my mind, the only conclusion I come to is heaven was needing a hero like you. Yes, heaven was needing a hero, and that's you.
Good evening.
I have no sound.
We welcome you to
You'll have to wait. Hold on. Alright guys, welcome to my channel. Tonight's gonna be a little heavy. And welcome. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And it is a beautiful song. There's a couple of songs I put together. I didn't make the video, but I put together songs with the video of Tristan. Now, let me... Oh, you could hear that? See, I couldn't hear it. You did hear it? Oh, there was sound? All right, good. So let me play that first. It's only a couple minutes. I wasn't hearing sound, but that's because I've sound off. So I wouldn't hear sound. All right, hold on. I'm going to get to all that, Juju.
Good evening. We welcome you to the Celebration of Life event for Tristyn Bailey. Your presence here tonight at this service is a sign of your love for Tristan and your support for this family, not only tonight, but in the many days ahead, as we come together as a community to heal, to move forward, and to most of all, remember Tristan's life.
That you are in a dark room. There are no windows, no light sources of any kind. How do you feel in that completely dark room? Are you uneasy? Are you nervous or anxious perhaps? Maybe you are even a little bit scared. Absolutely. But now imagine that someone lights a candle.
I kind of skipped through this so it's not like consistent.
You see the light, and if you're like me, you would be immediately calmed. It's natural to be drawn towards light. So you move a little bit closer. Light.
Tristan was at my birthday dinner. She was so proud of her new blinged out UCA champion jacket, which is actually right here. Proud of her two friends were cold in the restaurant. They were in cheer clothes and she had a jacket. So of course she did what any good friend would do. If you're thinking that she gave one of them the jacket, no. They all three shared it. Tristan was a shining light and a saving grace for her friends. Last summer, the girls spent countless hours in the cheer gym.
I can say personally that my family will always be grateful to celebrate Tristan's life and carry on her legacy. May we always be Tristyn Bailey strong.
Seeing Emma's face scrunched up as she reluctantly wrapped her arms back around Tristan and could barely say good morning through the smile on her face, which
following the light speech from Allison Olsen, it was beautiful. I wanted to start with first talking to Stacy. So in the darkest times of my life over the past few years, Stacy has been the shining light for me. And I have hoped that I could give that light back to you. And so I have been humbled and honored to have been able to help ease any stress or concern for your family on all the things to make celebrating Tristan perfect. There are no words to express how much I love you all and will continue to harass you as I always have and always will.
Our dad and the I'm proud of you and the I love yous, and she knew it. Just like I'm proud of you.
I hope.
So, my family and I, again, I would like to say thank you for all being here today. The love and support from the communities have been overwhelming.
Thank you, Pool Life. Pool Life, you're doing exactly what you tell me not to do.
And it's absolutely incredible. And we will never be able to have enough thank yous for you all. As for our superstar, one in a trillion
it gets
queen,
a lot worse.
No good deed goes unseen, especially for Tristan. She made sure all of her good deeds were well seen and well heard. For example, taking the dog out to a walk to the backyard. Well, it was great,
when the three oldest of us moved out, we realized we were a little behind the curve in doing housework, laundry, and our day-to-day lives.
For those of you who don't know, she loves attention, and she would be holding that over my head for the rest of her life. You see, in high school, I, got pretty involved, made sure that when I left for college, I left some shoes for Sophia and Tristan to fill. And I gotta say, right now, Tristan's probably looking at me thinking, yeah, you're my brother. Because, Sophia, there were a couple times where I know she got the, oh, you're Tegan's sister. I think Tristan got a handful of times, but not as often. Right now, I am Tristan's brother, and that is something that I am proud of. While Tristan was the baby of the Bailey 7, I thought that she didn't have any younger siblings. She only had older siblings. But something I've learned over the past several days is that is horribly incorrect. Going to multiple of the events that the cheer community has put on, listening to the retellings
All right. So, she was a great kid. Now, on a serious note, this whole case kind of got swept under the rug with YouTube, with the media, all because of Cash's case. This case happened on May 9th. It was actually brought to me by Shoot the Shit. The reason why I hadn't gone live about it previously is because we didn't know what was going to happen with the kid that was accused of doing it. But as of yesterday, they tried him as an adult. So let me give you a little background. She's 13 years old. Her name is Tristyn Bailey. She's from St. John's, Florida, which is a very, I wouldn't say majorly affluent area, but it's a good area. I mean, it's not a lot of crime, demographics, mostly a white neighborhood. A lot of private schools. It's right around St. Augustine. She was just a normal 13-year-old teenager. Didn't bother anybody, lived a good life, had a normal life. On May 9th, she was hanging out with some friends. She went to a private school. This guy she went to a private school with, they were hanging out. They were with a bunch of people. Somehow throughout the night, a bunch of people had just disintegrated. Forgot to put a picture up. Kind of like disintegrated, and it was just him and her. He took her in the woods. It was a Saturday, May 9th. He took her in the woods, and she was never seen or heard from again. They originally picked him up. Sadly enough, he gets in the cop car, and he still has a cell phone. He goes to Snapchat, and he's sitting in the back of the cop car and pulls this right as he got arrested. He's 14 years old. And he says, hey guys, anybody seen Tristan lately? If that isn't the most screwed up thing you've ever seen, and yeah, this is what this 14-year-old kid did. So Tristan was found in a remote wooded area around 6 p.m. on Sunday. She died of forced trauma by stabbing, and a cause of death was ruled by the medical examiner as a homicide. Search for Tristan. She was a 13-year-old, went missing, found her body about a day later. She was shortly seen after midnight on Sunday, or late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Was found in a remote wooded area around 6 p.m. 14-year-old boy was arrested, which is him, Aiden. And it's just really, really sad. I have a hard time with this, honestly. And I have a hard time with it simply because I have a 13-year-old and I have two 16-and-a-half-year-olds, and I just cannot imagine someone being that upset that they would kill. Now, remember, stabbing is a personal thing. So what we learned today is he stabbed her 114 times. Why would a 14-year-old need to stab a 13-year-old 114 times? That's worse than like any serial killer. So he was originally tried as a juvenile. And he was tried with second-degree homicide, which would have put him, I believe during Florida law, that would have put him he would be out when he was 21. But due to the graphic nature of everything, the district attorney, the police all decided that he deserves first-degree homicide and being tried as an adult. So now we open up a whole new realm we have a 14-year-old who's now being tried as an adult. So by the way, Tristan was a cheerleader. Prosecutor had decided that, you know what, with everything going on, he deserves life in prison. Now, in the state of Florida and basically anywhere in the United States, you can't have the death penalty. So when he first got arrested, he had some tears. He was crying. By the time yesterday's arraignment happened, with his first appearance in the court as a first-time juvenile, as an adult, being tried as an adult, he is now facing life imprisonment without a possibility of parole. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Florida prisons. They're not pretty, and they're not fun. They are very hardcore jails to be in. They don't know where they're going to transfer him to, but it gets worse, though. I mean, it really gets worse. So it seems that now I put all of this together in the last 2 hours, so bear with me. I'm going to do some uploads on it. Yeah, there's no death penalty for anyone under the age of 18, no matter what their crime was. He went and told people, he literally went and told people that he was going to kill somebody. He sat there and said that he was going to bring someone in the woods. He didn't know who it would be, but he was going to bring someone in the woods. He was either going to stab them or slash their throat. He told a lot of schoolmates that he was going to kill them. That's what he was going to do. He was going to kill someone. Now, you have to think to yourself, why would it make a 14-year-old that angry that he wants to kill somebody? I have my own conclusions, which it's kind of interesting, but I'll get to that after. But to stab her 114 times, he didn't even know her that well. But 114 times. So the prosecutor is like, it brings me no pleasure charging a 14-year-old as an adult with first-degree murder, but I can tell you that the executive team and I reviewed all the facts, all the circumstances, the applicable law, and it was not a difficult decision to make. So he is the only suspect in this. Like, there's no turning back. Sun confirmed that it has been probed by police as part of their investigation, that Snapchat was not a fake, that actually was him. Now, everyone's asking for a motive. What's the motive? Why the motive? Nobody seems to know. I have a theory, though, but I could be way off, but I have a theory. The only thing they do know, it could be a case of wrong place, wrong time. They don't know why she was targeted specifically, but prosecution voiced frustration that Fucci's alleged plans to commit homicide were not taken seriously. Someone had asked if they were going to be charged, the people that didn't come forward, were they going to be charged? And the prosecution said no, they wouldn't charge them, just because 14-year-old says, oh, I'm going to kill someone. Yeah, sure you are. Okay, have a good day. But now they all came forward to let him know that, yeah, he's kind of been planning this for a while. We just didn't take him seriously. I don't think I would have taken somebody seriously either, to be honest with you. I really don't. So, he showed no remorse for what he did. And you'll see that, too, in the first court appearance that he did yesterday. So the sheriff's office said that one of the reasons they charged him is that he changed his story multiple times. So I can just tell you that the man is a cold-blooded killer. And I hate to say man because he's a child, but he's committed a man's crime. With that being said, of course, I think he's being held responsible for the crime he committed. Now, I'm going to show you his first court appearance. See, this would be so much easier in an upload. So if I'm a little out of it, I apologize. All right.
28-2021. I'm Judge Maltz. This is the first appearance in the state of Florida versus Aiden Fucci, which is case number 21-825 CF. Are you Aiden Fucci?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very well. State is here represented by Mr. Lewis. Mr. Fucci is here represented by Ms. Peoples. Good morning, everybody.
Morning,
Judge.
All right, Mr. Fucci, if you'll raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put your hand down. All right, Mr. Fucci, let me tell you what first appearance is. The purpose of a first appearance is to advise you of what the charges are against you, to let you know if there is probable cause to detain you on these charges, to address the issue of your bond if appropriate, and to advise you of some rights that you have. So I am going to start with advising you of some very valuable rights that you have under both the United States and Florida constitutions. First off, you have the right to be represented by an attorney.
He doesn't, but I'm going to get into that too, Johnny.
Proceedings against you, and if you cannot afford to hire one, one will be appointed for you at no cost. I know that the Public Defender's Office is currently appointed to represent you. Judge Anthony had a hearing last week and determined that the Public Defender's Office could represent you in this matter, so I am going to reaffirm that appointment of the Public Defender's Office at this time. You also have the right to remain silent. That is also referred to as a right against self-incrimination. What that means is that no one can force you to talk about your case while your case is pending. Keep in mind that everything this morning is being recorded. There's also an assistant state attorney on the line. So if you say anything that's incriminating this morning, it may very well be used against you at a later time. Do you understand these rights as I just explained those to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me tell you what you are charged with. You have been indicted by the St. Johns County Grand Jury on the charge of first-degree premeditated murder. That is a capital felony. That is normally punishable by up to death or life imprisonment. In your case, because you are not yet 18 years old,
I'm going to get into that.
A possible sentence pursuant to the Florida and United States Supreme Courts, but this charge does carry a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. Do you understand the charge against you?
Yes, sir.
All right. There is probable cause to detain you on this charge pursuant to the indictment issued by the St. Johns County Grand Jury yesterday, as well as the
violent video games
that I have previously reviewed. The indictment in capias that followed set your bond at none. Is the state still asking that he be held without bond? Mr. Lewis?
That is correct, Judge. The state's request is no bond.
All right. Ms. Peoples, do you want to be heard on that issue?
We'll address that issue at a later date, Your Honor, with appropriate motions and witnesses.
All right, Ms. Peoples, do you want to be heard on that? Thank you. Having reviewed the appropriate paperwork, preliminarily make a determination that proof is evident, presumption is great, so you will be held without bond. Mr. Fucci, do you have any questions about these proceedings today?
No, sir.
All right. The next step in these proceedings will be an arraignment unless your lawyer or lawyers formally waive your arraignment in writing, and that will take place in the next week or two. Anything further from the state?
Hey, Angelique.
Nothing further from the state, Judge.
Anything further from
this was just yesterday morning.
No, Your Honor.
All right, that will conclude your first appearance, Mr. Fucci. Everybody have a good day.
All right. Now, let me also say this. When you stab somebody, not only is it personal, it's more than just being personal. Like, you smell it, you feel it. You're right close to somebody. You feel their blood on you. You smell the blood. It's not like a gun where you're far away and you're shooting from far back. You're right there. It's personal. It's wow. And crimes of passion are usually knives. Because it's personal. You're mad. But you have to sit back and think, what would be the reason that a 14-year-old boy could have so much rage that he would stab her 114 times? Now, you feel their life leaving their body, exactly. But that's a whole nother issue, Alley Cat. He is only 14. And you have to put yourself inside a 14-year-old mentality. But I've really thought about this a lot, and I've been looking into this. Now, this is where my education in psychology is going to play a part. He is female. He's male. She's a female. There has to be some kind of connection of maybe not why he chose her, but why he chose a young girl. Why did he choose a classmate? Why didn't he choose some older person? Why didn't he choose an older man? Why didn't he choose an older woman? Like, why choose a classmate? Why choose her? Was it out of convenience? It could have been. Could it be as simple as it was convenient, they were together and he did it? Yeah, but he could have killed somebody else. Why didn't he kill another friend? So once you really look into it, you find out more about this man. That is Aiden's father. And what did I find out after doing some digging about Aiden's father? I'll tell you. Hold on. Let me pull up my notes. All right. His dad was born in Jacksonville. He's lived in other parts of Florida from Orange Park and Middleburg. He's 6'2". He weighs registered at 232. He has a cross tattoo on his left shoulder. So far, pretty normal. On January 1st, this is where it gets important. On January 1st of 2003, he was accused of child abuse, injury, neglect. On November 17th of 2004, he was found guilty and sentenced to 1 year and 2 months in prison. On October 1st of 2003, he was arrested for engaging in sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl at his home. He was found guilty and was sentenced to 2 years probation. With 158 days given as credit, he violated the conditions and was jailed for 14 months. He was a Robinson irrigation employee in Jacksonville. He was arrested on October 1st, 2003. On December 7th of 2004, he was booked into the Florida Department of Corrections in Tallahassee. He was released on June 28th of 2005. Stayed as residence upon release in Middleburg. He and Crystal Smith have a son named Aiden Sean Fucci, who was born in 2007. Aiden attended Patriot Oaks Academy in St. John's, Florida. He and Yasmin Fucci own Fucci's Full Package, a landscaping company. In 2016, he was booked for battery. He was accused of getting into a fight at a gas station. He was 36 years old when Aiden was accused of fatally stabbing Tristyn Bailey 114 times on May 9th. On May 14th, he and Smith submitted applications for criminal indigent status. St. John's County Clerk of Court approved Smith's application but denied his application due to a clerical error when he appeared on May 20th. Judge learned he had 3 dependents at his home and granted his indigency status. So, yes, exactly, Hope. So it makes me wonder, even though it was before Aiden was born, is this some kind of psychological thing with his dad? Did his dad have a thing with little kids? Is his dad making comments about her? I mean, they did go to school together. She was a cheerleader. Did his dad make any kind of sexual references to her? Did that piss him off? Did he not want to see his dad go to jail? There's a million things I could think of. Like, literally, tons of things I could think of. But the fact that his dad was arrested for engaging in sexual activity with a 15-year-old, even though Aiden wasn't born yet, that's kind of rough. Social media posts said that it would be random. What would be random? That he killed him? I see, but they don't know that yet. And I don't believe that you stab somebody 114 times randomly. No, I'm not buying that. Killing is too personal. Stabbing is too personal. And to do it 114 times. Show me any serial killer that killed somebody, stabbed someone 114 times. You don't. Maybe 10, 20, maybe 50 max. I can't even remember a case where they was stabbed 114 times, for real. That's what he told his friends. Dawn Marie, what was that? That's what he told his friends. Hold on. He told his friends that he was going to kill somebody. It could be random. I don't believe, but it wasn't random. It happened to be a schoolmate. It happened to be his classmate. So that's why I don't really think that this was a random thing. I think, in my personal feeling, that he targeted her because why didn't he kill any of the other friends that they were with? He could have killed any of them, and he didn't. He only killed her. And looking at his dad's background, I really wonder if there's more to that. And we don't know yet. There's not a lot of information out yet because he just got tried as an adult. So all of this is brand new. But I did put together a video with stuff they did, and I put some music to it. So I'm going to play it now. Justice for her. But hold on. And what really saddens me, though, is how this whole case got put aside because of cash, and everybody seemed to forget about it. And this, to me, is not that one is more horrific than the other, but to find out that a 14-year-old stabbed a schoolmate 114 times. Even the cops said it was the most horrific crime they have ever seen. Never have they seen a case where a boy stabs a girl 114 times. They haven't seen it. They said it was horrific. But in general, he seemed to come from a good family. I'm sorry. It seemed to be a good area, I should say, not a good family. All right.
Tell me.
Hang on.
Tell me, what does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on
completely full of life.
In the angels cry. I hope the angels know what they have. I'll bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. So tell me, what do you do up in heaven? All your days filled with love and light. Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy? Are you more alive? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left.
Yes, you did, Val. I'm gonna get to all that.
Everything's different. There's an emptiness.
Thanks, Alley Cat.
I hope you're there.
This was kind of like my intro in this case.
And I hope you sing.
It's Danny and Lenny dancing in the rain, dancing in the sky.
Angels know what they have. I'll bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the
Yeah, they did, Dawn.
and I hope the angels know
I agree, Bonnie.
I'll bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Since you arrived.
It definitely does, Alley Cat. I cried pretty hard making this video. It's definitely not, Lori. I wasn't even gonna do it tonight. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna put aside the other stuff. Let me go ahead and do this and get this out there because nobody's talking about her. And it's horrible. I didn't actually make the video itself. I put the music to it. She was beautiful.
Catholic school is vicious as Roman road.
Yeah, 7 kids. She was the youngest. I played some of it, Ella. She was 13. changes.org with 70,000 signatures that they wanted him tried as an adult. Yeah, see, some kid had revenge on something. There's 3 songs. I don't know why the sound came out so bad. The Bailey 7, yeah. Thank you, Juju.
Love from our community is breathtaking, and we cannot thank you enough for that. I had to write a speech down.
welcome, listener. I'm going to cover this a lot more. I just kind of wanted to give the intro for anyone that wasn't totally familiar with it. And that was the video. And there's a couple of other things that I want to show you guys. Now, Alley Catter brought up a good point that I actually forgot about. She was stabbed so hard that the tip of the knife ended up in her skull. And it was missing. And he went home. He had blood on him. They found blood in his house. They had DNA in his house. They found DNA in his house. There's absolutely no doubt in anybody's mind that he is the one that did it. And the fact that the knife, he stabbed her so hard that he lost the piece of the knife, just speaks volumes as to how much anger he had. But nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. And here's a couple of news clips. Well.
Your side, Jessica Clark, has been following this case closely. She joins us now with the new developments. Jess?
Yeah, Heather, as of today, Aiden Fucci's original attorney is out, and Aiden Fucci is getting a team of attorneys from the public defender's office. Aiden Fucci, the teenage murder suspect, was not in the Zoom court hearing, but his parents were. First item of business, Anwar Snober, the private attorney who represented Fucci in his first appearance last week, was in court Thursday, officially asking to be taken off the case.
And I'll grant your motion to withdraw at this time, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
The second item of business, Fucci's parents and their finances. They both asked the judge to be declared indigent. That means they cannot afford an attorney for their son, Aiden. And with this murder case, the legal fees are expected to be hefty. A little background here. Fucci's parents are not married. The teenager lives with his mother and her partner in the high-end Durbin Crossing neighborhood. But state statute says property is not considered when qualifying for indigency. And Thursday, the judge wanted to know more about Fucci's father's finances.
And are you employed?
Yes, ma'am. I'm self-employed, but since this, the company has took a downward fall.
Okay, so that your company is just your only source of income?
Yes, ma'am.
Both of Fucci's parents were then deemed indigent, and because of that, the judge appointed the public defender's office to represent the 14-year-old.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Actually, we're going to have a team of attorneys representing Aiden Fucci. We're glad you did that, Your Honor. It's a privilege to represent young Mr. Fucci.
The public defender says he expects his team to put in hundreds of hours into Aiden Fucci's defense. The issue of charging him as an adult is still up to the state attorney's office. Jessica Clark, First Coast News, back to you.
All right, so that's what I want to get into. This is a tough one. As much as horrific as this case was, much of a horrible death as this was, at the end of the day, this kid is 14. I have a 13-year-old. We all know Dayton is mature. We all know that Dayton knows right from wrong. We all know that Dayton is way above his years of maturity. But at the end of the day, he's still a 13-and-a-half-year-old kid. And he's not going to make choices thinking through like an adult would, no matter what. He's just not. And I'm torn between charging a kid as an adult because it's been proven in many circumstances, kids that kill, like kids that kill parents, kids that kill siblings, many times they're not psychopaths. Many times they made a really, really bad decision. Are some of them psychopaths? Absolutely. But this kid could be raging for something. This kid could be raging for something. Could you ever see Aiden doing anything like this, Lord? No, I cannot. But I can tell you this. If I wasn't the one raising him, could I see him doing something like this? Yes, and I'll tell you why. When Brad and I first split up, when I first went to go get him help, that was one of the things they said, is that he has so much anger and so much rage in his brain that he's taking it out in many different ways. If I wasn't who I was, and he was with somebody that would allow that rage, who knows where he'd be. I don't know where that rage would have taken him. But because he had such a wonderful parent like myself, but because he had a stable, steady, well-rounded adult interaction and not a anger, like everything, that's why he wouldn't take that path. But if he was raised by Brad, I don't know. I can't say that I would definitely say no. I can't say that. And I hate to say that, but I can't say that. 104 times is really horrific. Exactly. So you on that, but let me say, his parents, have they caused irreversible problem? We don't know. We just don't know. 114 times is insane. But again, he's still 14. Can I put a recap real quick? 14-year-old boy on screen brutally murdered a 13-year-old schoolmate in St. John's, Florida. He was originally tried second-degree homicide and tried as a juvenile. After the medical examiner came back with 114 stab wounds and a missing tip, and it was horrendous, they upped the charges to first-degree murder and trying him as an adult. There's your recap. Follow me, you get what I'm saying. It's possible. That's what I'm saying. I can't rule out the dad's past. I can't rule out the things that is in the dad's past and record. I can't ignore that. I haven't even looked at the mom yet, but I can't ignore that dad. I just can't. Not everyone has the best living situation, not all murdered. That is true. That is very true. But why? I mean, seemingly on the outside, mom and dad lived in a very nice area. Mom and stepdad lived in a very nice area. He went to a private school. He went to a very good school. What caused him to do it? I don't know. The dad was a sexual predator. Dad was caught with a 15-year-old back in 2003 when he had to be like probably 30-something or 20, maybe late 20s, and before Aiden was born. No, they went to school together. I said it in the, if you rewind, it's in there. They went to school together. They were all hanging out with friends, and then somehow they ended up alone, and he brought her in the woods and he killed her. They don't have a motive yet. He hasn't really spoken yet. They have an idea of there's obviously something wrong, but they're, one of the lawyers or prosecutors kept saying, if he's deemed competent, I can't imagine Florida's not going to deem him competent, even though he said that he was going to do X, Y, and Z. He's still competent to stand trial. Definitely need a psychiatrist. I agree. Look, Columbine, exactly. We never have answers. I think a 14-year-old that wasn't a psychopath would have stopped. Yeah, but there was a reason he kept going. He has those eyes there. He didn't originally. If you look at his original one,
is sometimes known as.
All right. let me show you this. This is about 8 minutes. I watched this earlier. This was while he was being tried as an adult. I mean, as a juvenile. And his face looks totally different there. I really, in my heart of hearts, believe he's now accepted what's going to happen to him. And that's why he is the way he is.
As a first appearance, the purpose of your detention hearing is to determine whether there is probable cause for me to believe that an act of delinquency occurred and that you are the person who committed it. If I find that there is probable cause, we will then discuss the terms which the law allows you to be either released or detained. Some things that you need to be aware of. First off, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you do say in this proceeding can be used against you. This proceeding is being recorded, and the assistant state attorney is here, and she will...
Let me just point out something that I think is very funny, that the judge is using Zoom, but he's using a fake background. You could see when he glitches when he turns his head. I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, wow, even the judge is using a fake background.
Be taking careful note of anything you say. Secondly, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. And if you or your family can't afford an attorney, I will appoint one to represent you. Now, let me just ask your parents briefly, do you have private counsel here today to represent him?
Yes, we, well, his attorney should be there, Andy. Anwar Snover.
What's his name?
Anwar Snover.
You see it?
Andy Snover.
Okay, I do not see
Mike, call him
on the Zoom call.
1 second.
Well, we just had someone enter the Zoom call. Let me see if this is him.
Okay.
What did you say the name was?
Andy Snover. Huh? Anwar Snover. It should.
That is not who I just admitted to.
Can we call him?
Hey, Ben.
If you can get him reasonably quickly, otherwise I'll appoint the public defender for this.
Mike, he's gonna have to answer.
He's having a computer issue glitch.
He's having a computer issue glitch, and he's trying to log on.
Well, while he is attempting to log on, as I said, to Aiden, he has the right to counsel at every stage of the proceedings. If you can't afford counsel, I can appoint counsel. I see that Mr. Snober is now joining the call. Mr. Snober, would you please turn your camera on? Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. We've already begun your client's detention hearing.
T-Boy, correct.
I have informed him of his right to remain silent and his right to counsel. His parents advise that you are representing him. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't know what that is.
This is a First Coast News special report.
Now we're interrupting programming to bring you the first court appearance of 14-year-old Aiden Fucci.
All right, you see him there on your screen. This is a hearing happening over Zoom. There's a lot of players within this, including his own family members and attorneys. Let's listen in and see what the judge has to say about what will happen with him in detention.
Without premeditation. That is murder in the second degree, although it is a first degree felony. I have reviewed the arrest report. Mr. Snober, do you have any comments on probable cause?
No, sir.
Okay. I do.
So now let me just say this. When you watch him here, he's scared. He's confused. He doesn't look like a psychopath here, and he doesn't have dead eyes here. He looks like a 14-year-old with a deer in headlights. Like, what the fuck did I do? He looks concerned, and I'm not blowing him off like, he's so, he's a psychopath. I'm not getting there yet.
I do find that there is probable cause to believe that the offense occurred. And at this time, I'm going to order that Mr. Fucci be detained by the Department of Juvenile Justice in secure detention for 21 days or until further order of the court. The 21-day period will end on May 31st, 2009. Ms. Paula, I take it the state will have made its filing decision by that time.
Your Honor, if I may, Jennifer Dutton for the State Attorney's Office. Yes, Your Honor, that decision will be made in that time frame.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Dutton.
That's okay. That's okay.
Handling this. All right. Do you have any other comment, Ms. Dunton?
No, not at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Snover?
No, sir, not at this time.
All right. Mr. Fucci, Ms. Smith, as his parents, you are responsible for payment of $5 a day to the Department of Juvenile Justice during his period of detention. If he requires medical care, the department is authorized to consent to it, although you remain liable for the payment for that treatment. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. And that concludes this detention hearing. We'll move on to our next case. Thank you very much.
Think about that for a second. Yeah, she did. She had 46 out of 114. I was going to get to that tomorrow. Out of 114 stab wounds, 46 of them were defensive wounds. So she fought like a bitch. She was not, I don't mean bitch in a bad way. I mean, like, she was fighting him like there's no fucking tomorrow. Like, she was fighting for her life. And I just didn't want to overload you guys in all of that. That was for tomorrow. But yeah, it's crazy. It's just a crazy case. And what I didn't know, which is different, then again, I don't have any kids in jail, but $5 a day for the rest of your life, that kind of adds up. So they're probably going to have to pay that $5 a day, not just in juvenile hall, in adult prison, I think, until he's actually an adult. Now, what they did say, though, they said that he would be kept away from adult prisoners until his 18th birthday. But that's still 4 years away. You got to figure this is going to be wrapped up in court 2-3 years, but he's at an adult prison, and it's just crazy. It's like, PA, you have to pay. Yeah, but he's not paying. They have to pay. He should be liable to pay, even though he's a minor. The dad, hold on, let me go back to it. The amount of energy it took to stab 114 times, I agree, with 46 being defensive wounds. All right, so dad. Okay. Dad, on January 1st, 2003, he was accused of child abuse, injury, and neglect. On November 17th of 2004, he was found guilty and sentenced to 1 year and 2 months in prison. On October 1st of 2003, that was January. Later that year, he was arrested for engaging in sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl at his home. He was found guilty and sentenced to 2 years probation. With 158 days given as credit, he violated the conditions. He was jailed for 14 months. And I believe there's more than that. I wonder if he was going to contest. I don't know. And that's what you guys missed in the beginning. I really wonder if somehow that had something to do with something. He has a fascination with teen girls. That's what I said originally, T-Boy, that I wonder if his fascination with teen girls, maybe somehow they were connected. Maybe he did target her specifically. Maybe it was her that, you know, maybe Dad made a comment. I don't know how often he saw his dad. I'm just throwing things out there, possibilities. But maybe somehow it was connected. Maybe he hated her because his dad could go to jail again. Who knows? But 114 times, that's personal. That's seriously personal. Hold on.
Live from the local station, News 4 Jax starts now.
Heart-wrenching new details on the murder of St. Johns County teenager Tristyn Bailey, whose stabbing death shook the Durbin Crossing community to the core. The state attorney revealed the 13-year-old girl's accused murderer and schoolmate had previously told his friends he was going to kill someone, but they never spoke up.
It's disturbing and concerning that those statements were not, let's say, adequately or appropriately, or not taken seriously by the folks that heard them.
State Attorney R.J. Larissa announced today that 14-year-old Aiden Fucci will be charged as an adult with first-degree murder.
He also disclosed graphic details about the horrible killing. According to the autopsy report, she was stabbed 114 times as she fought for her life. Joy has a statement from the Bailey family. We begin, though, with News 4 Jax reporter Vic Micolucci, who's been covering this crime from the beginning. And Vic, the details are just awful.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that, Mary. They are disturbing. They are chilling. So I want to give you that warning one more time before we go into the statements made by R.J. Larissa, the state attorney, as well as this several-page warrant that actually charges Aiden Fucci as an adult with first-degree premeditated murder. So this afternoon, for the first time, we learned how many times investigators believe he stabbed 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey 114 times. That's according to the medical examiner who found that out through the autopsy. Now, 49 of those stab wounds
49,
were to
not
her
46.
neck, to her face, to her head, to her hands, and to her arms. And the state attorney describes those as defense wounds. So she was trying to fight back, trying to protect herself, literally fighting for her life. We went over other details, including the murder weapon. Here we have video as detectives with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office found it. They pulled it out in a pond at the Durbin Crossing neighborhood near where Aiden Fucci and Tristyn Bailey lived. Also, just yards away from where a neighbor found Bailey's body. We were there. I was there personally as the dive team pulled out that knife. And today the state attorney described it as a folding buck knife. A lot of people use it for hunting. A lot of other people use it for safety. He said that he carried it around, and he went into more disturbing details about what investigators believe Fucci did as he stabbed Tristyn Bailey to death.
The defendant had a knife that he carried with him. A knife was found in the pond, very close in proximity to our victim's body. That knife had a tip that was broken off. That tip was located by the medical examiner in the scalp of our victim. The statements that the defendant made to his friends made it clear that he was considering a homicide. And I got to tell you this, it's disturbing and concerning that those statements were not, let's say, adequately or appropriately, or not taken seriously by the folks that heard them.
Now listen to this. According to a witness in this affidavit, Aiden said that, quote, if he were to kill someone, it was going to be planned. He would find a random person walking at night, drag them into the woods, and stab them. We do know that Tristan and Aiden were together that night. They were at a friend's house, so she was not a random person. But all the other details are shockingly similar to what is described in this case. We also learned that evidence technicians with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office found Tristan's blood on his shoes and his hooded sweatshirt, which they found at his family's home just a couple blocks away from where a neighbor discovered Tristyn Bailey's body. Now, the big question is, what is next for Aiden Fucci, the 14-year-old? Right now, he is still at a juvenile justice facility 2 counties down in Daytona Beach. But because of these adult charges, he's going to be moved to an adult facility. He's still going to be kept by himself because of the nature of this case. They won't say where he's going. He could be going to the St. Johns County Jail, which is just about a block behind me, but we're waiting to learn more. He will be rearrested and will face a judge again on that new first-degree murder charge. That'll likely happen in the next day. As soon as that happens,
that's what I played at the beginning.
For now, we're live in St. Augustine. I'm Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
Vic, the information that was announced at that news conference was, I don't think the word extraordinary is strong enough to describe it. What was the reaction in the room, even among the members of law enforcement, those professionals?
Yeah, we've heard the words chilling, horrific, shocking, monstrous. You know, at the end of the day, everyone in the room, from the detectives to the prosecutors to members of the news media, we're all human. And I could feel the chills, I could hear the gasps, I could hear the heavy breathing. It's truly an unspeakable crime. And when I was talking with the detectives on the case as well as the state attorney, I mean, these are seasoned investigators who have worked dozens, some of them hundreds of homicides. And they all agree they've never worked anything like this. And they say their heart is in one place, getting justice for Tristyn Bailey's family.
All right, Vic Michelucci.
Hang on one second. He is visibly upset. Can you blame him? All right.
Two minutes till. Y'all good? Okay. Welcome everyone to St. Johns County, to the courthouse. I'm R.J. Larissa, the elected state attorney for the 7th Judicial Circuit. Today, the St. Johns County Grand Jury convened and issued an indictment against Aiden Fucci for first-degree murder involving our victim, Tristyn Bailey. Once the grand jury had done the indictment, we did a transfer order, which I believe some of the folks in the media had already gotten a hold of, transferring the case from juvenile court to adult court. The indictment is the triggering document which signals and executes the move into the adult court system.
If he was an adult, he would get the death penalty, is basically what they said earlier.
So Aiden Fucci will be tried as an adult in St. Johns County for first-degree murder. Now, Aiden was initially charged with second-degree murder. The indictment is for first-degree premeditated murder. Now, some folks have asked us why, or wanted to know why we would charge premeditated murder, and also why we would choose to seek adult sanctions on Aiden, who is a 14-year-old boy. Well, we're going to talk about both of those together to give you an idea of why the decision was made to charge him as an adult. And why.
And I apologize that I have to keep stopping this, but I do for, so I don't get hit with the copyright.
We believe first-degree premeditated murder is the appropriate charge. I think both of those intertwine and will explain why we did what we did. First off, I want to tell you, it brings me no pleasure to be charging a 14-year-old as an adult with first-degree murder. But I can tell you also that the executive team and I reviewed all the facts, all the circumstances, the applicable law, and it was not a difficult decision to make that he should be charged as an adult.
Now, if you missed what I said earlier, there was a change.org that, I don't know if her family, her friends, someone did, but there was 70,000 signatures that that wanted him tried as an adult, not as a juvenile, to be out by 21.
It's a sad decision and a sad state of affairs, but it was clear to us after we looked at what happened that it was not only appropriate to charge the defendant as an adult, but it was really the only choice that we could make.
Ageless.
Now, you've heard that our victim, Tristan, was stabbed. And I believe Sheriff Hardwick, who I'd like to say wishes he could be here today. Unfortunately, he couldn't be. But we'll have Director Skip Cole will speak for the Sheriff's Office. But to say that it was horrific could arguably be made as an understatement. The medical examiner completed an autopsy on our victim and identified confidently that there were 114 stab wounds. 114. At least 49 of those stab wounds were to the hands, arms, and the head, and were defensive in nature. The bottom line is that premeditation could be inferred, certainly, from just the sheer number of stab wounds that Tristyn Bailey had to suffer. No,
I don't think so in Florida. I think Florida, if you get life, you do life. Because, like I said, if he was an adult, he would be getting death.
Time that arm went back, and every time that arm went down, that was premeditation. And it happened, if you times 114 by 2, that's 228. But it's not just the fact that she was stabbed 14 times, or 114 times. It's also information that we were able to glean from witnesses. The defendant made statements to several people that he intended to kill someone. He didn't say who that was, but he indicated to witnesses that he was going to kill someone by taking them in the woods and stabbing them, which are certainly the facts of this case. The defendant had a knife that he carried with him. A knife was found in the pond, very close in proximity to our victim's body. That knife had a tip that was broken off. That tip was located by the medical examiner in the scalp of our victim. The statements that the defendant made to his friends made it clear that he was considering a homicide. And I got to tell you this, it's disturbing and concerning that those statements were not, let's say, adequately or appropriately, or not taken seriously by the folks that heard them. I'm not saying that this could have been avoided, but I'm saying that it was never reported beforehand. Now, as we move forward in this case, and we continue to develop the case, we will continue to develop more evidence. Not only do we have the knife, which was identified by witnesses as they say it's his knife. It's consistent, as the medical examiner says, with the wounds that were found on Tristan's body. And it's also the description and the hilt and the wounds themselves match up per the medical examiner. Not only that, we also have DNA evidence that we have developed regarding this case. There is the defendant's DNA on the body of the victim. And there is the victim's DNA on the knife blade, on shoes that belong to the defendant that were found in his bedroom, on a t-shirt that was found in the defendant's bedroom. And there's additional items that we are looking at now that have been sent to the FDLE lab for confirmation of blood and DNA analysis. I just want to say that I hope parents will learn something from this vicious and brutal murder. And that is that you need to know what your kids are doing and what they're saying.
It's true.
Because while we might not be able to stop these brutal and vicious murders from happening, we ought to at least try. And sometimes parents might be reluctant to dig into what their kids are doing. For those of you who have kids, you know that when you start wondering and asking and investigating what they're doing, you have a battle on your hands. But it's a battle worth fighting. So I hope that parents will realize that teenagers are capable of things we have never imagined they could be. And this case is an example of that.
That's true.
What I'd like to do now is invite Director Skip Cole, the Director of Criminal Investigations for the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, to say a few words.
Thank you. It's difficult to hear all that. Okay, my name's Howard Cole. I'm the Director of the Criminal Investigations Division. I'm here today representing Sheriff Hardwick and all the men and women of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. To begin, we fully support the grand jury indictment, which we all know represents only the first step in this very long and difficult process. We remain confident in the strength and thoroughness of our investigation, and we will be fully prepared to present all the facts and evidence to a jury at the appropriate time. We'd also like to thank State Attorney R.J. Larizza and his team for their partnership during this case. From day one, our teams worked side by side, furthering the investigation and preparing this case for grand jury. Even though this case is now being transitioned to the State Attorney's Office, our detectives will continue to investigate all leads and evidence to the fullest. In conclusion, we extend our continued thoughts and prayers to the Bailey family. We want the Bailey family to know that they are not alone, and we will stand with them through this entire process until justice and accountability is served. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite up Matt Walsh, who was the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville region of Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Matt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm FDLE Jacksonville Assistant Special Agent in charge, Matt Walsh. When a child goes missing or is in danger, time is critical. These are the most urgent cases in law enforcement, and we do everything we can to bring that child home safely. But sometimes, as heart-wrenching as it is, and despite our very best efforts, it isn't always possible. In these cases, we search for answers. Answers for the family and for the community. I'm so appreciative of our FDLE team and our law enforcement partners at St. John Sheriff's Office and here at the State Attorney's Office, Mr. Larizza's office, who dedicate themselves to this case and other cases around this community. Our forensic section had a very big role in this case. They worked tirelessly around the clock overnight to develop the DNA evidence Ms. Larissa has spoken about. Our agents have assisted in investigative support as much as we can, as much as needed by the St. John Sheriff's Office, and we continue that support to you in the Sheriff's Office. Our Missing Endangered Persons Information Clearinghouse, MEPIC, moved quickly to both issue a missing child alert for Tristan and has been invaluable in providing analytical assistance in this investigation. And FDLE will continue to offer any support we can in this investigation into our community and working through this tragedy. Thank you.
I'd like to also acknowledge the Sheriff's Office, and there were a bunch of folks involved in this investigation, but the case agent was Corporal Hannon, Kurt Hannon, and he's done an excellent job running the investigation and working with our team and the Sheriff's Office. Cases like this, look, there was video surveillance, there was DNA collected almost immediately. The deputy who responded at the scene to begin with, because remember, this started as a missing persons. Nobody knew what we really had for a while, but if it weren't for that deputy that responded, it could have been a lot longer before we actually were able to figure out exactly what we were dealing with here. And FDLE, folks, you know, testing DNA takes time. I mean, usually it could take months to get the DNA results back. But FDLE stepped up and said, we will process this evidence immediately for you. And I can't thank Matt and his crew enough, the folks at the lab.
I was wondering how they got that DNA back so fast. I mean, it's not even a month.
For doing that. I mean, it truly made a difference in how quickly we could get this investigation over. Also, I'd like to say, and this is really involving the Bailey family. I've met with them twice. They are wonderful, courageous, strong people. And I'll tell you, they're going to need all the courage and strength they can as we go through this process. You know, the juvenile system is not equipped for cases like this. The juvenile system, the maximum time that the defendant could spend in the juvenile system would be 21 till he's 21, and he'll be 15 this year. That is not adequate. That is not adequate or appropriate for what happened here. Additionally, the family has been receiving or has been made aware of comments on social media and threats. I want to tell y'all something. Law enforcement and the state attorney's office will be investigating any and all threats on social media for possible criminal charges. And I want folks to know the family needs your help. They need your support. If you can't give them that, then you should keep your mouth shut. And you shouldn't be using social media as a platform to exploit this terrible and horrific crime that we are now prosecuting. We should all be sad about what happened, and we should all be prepared to stand up and stand with the Bailey family as we work our way through this process. Because I'm telling you, folks, the criminal justice process is not friendly to victims and their families. It is a difficult process to go through, and the Bailey family is going to be going through it for years. So please keep that in mind. You folks out there who want to support the Bailey family, please do. Those of you who don't, be careful. Be careful about what you say and do. Now, I'd like to open it up for questions if anybody has some. Yes, sir.
Mr. Larissa, I can tell with just your demeanor, having seen you speak on cases before, have you ever dealt with...
From what in my 2 hours of research, what I found was there's a lot of trolls either mimicking him or going after Bailey or going after the family, and he thinks that, like, on Instagram and TikTok, that trolls are using as a way to become famous.
With anything like this? Has your team ever dealt with anything like this?
Well, certainly not the number of stab wounds. And I mean, it's a 14-year-old that is the defendant and a 13-year-old girl who's the victim. I mean, I'd have to say no. I have not before today. Yes, ma'am.
Did the surveillance video show any signs of struggle between the two?
We don't, well, there's a lot of surveillance video. There's surveillance video from when Tristan and Fucci leave where they were together and walk down the road. There's several different places. We all know folks have ring videos and other types of videos now, and that there was no signs of any struggle based on those videos. We certainly don't know. We can't see what happened at that point, but we know the result. So there certainly was a struggle. There were defensive wounds on this poor young lady, and she was fighting for her life. And it's just sad that we even have to talk about that. Yes, ma'am.
Any indication at this point in your investigation of whether Mr. Fucci may have been suffering from mental health conditions or was seeing a counselor for those kinds of issues?
No. No. Yes.
I couldn't hear a question.
The police report that was just released said that Fucci struck Tristan. Did he admit to stabbing her?
We're not going to talk about any confessions, if there were any. What I can tell you is that there are no statements that I'm aware of made by the defendant that where he confesses to the crime. Okay?
You know what led up to them getting together that night? Was he texting her, asking to hang out? Were they having any arguments at all?
These kids, you know, they're teenagers, and they have their groups and they hang out. And so it was started out as just a few kids getting together and hanging out, but it didn't end that way. Yes, sir.
Was this a thrill kill? Was it sexual in nature? I mean, there's so many theories out there. Has your office and have detectives with St. Johns County and FDLE found a motive here?
We're still working and investigating this case, and those details I'm not prepared to discuss at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Because of that, any signs of evidence of sexual assault in the autopsy?
We're not going to discuss details of that at this time either. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of pressure did you feel from the community to charge him as an adult? I know you guys got a lot of calls and emails. How many did you get?
I don't know. And no, I didn't feel any pressure at all. This is my job, to make these decisions along with the executive team. And while we're sad and we certainly take no pleasure in it, this is our duty. And we looked at the facts. We looked at the law. And I got to tell you, and the circumstances of the offense, there was no other alternative. The juvenile system is geared for kids maybe with drug issues or that commit nonviolent crime. When you get kids that get to this level of violence, the time and the accountability is not there, and the programs it's just not there. The adult system is where this case belongs. Yes, ma'am.
Was she tied up or restrained in any way?
We don't have evidence of any of that. The investigation is ongoing.
I like the way he
We have
answers
no
that.
evidence of that. Yes, sir.
What about the other teams? You obviously showed your disdain for their actions for having known about these homicidal statements that he made. Could they face any charges, any punishment, any kind of accountability here?
Well, first off, I don't consider it disdain. Disappointment. Disappointment that they didn't talk to somebody. But of course, they're teenagers, and that may be something that you could understand. I mean, I was a teenager once. I can still remember parts of that. But what I will say is, no, at this point, there's no evidence that we're aware of that would indicate that any of the kids that were involved, as far as friends who had testimony or evidence, had anything to do with the homicide or in any way have any criminal responsibility. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Fucci being held, transferred already to an adult facility. Can you tell us what facility that is, and will he be held at that same facility pending trial?
I can't. That's a decision for the sheriff's office, and I think Sheriff Hardwick, along with the directors, they will make that decision about where he will not stay in Volusia County. I'm fairly certain of that.
Has he already been transferred as we speak?
I don't think so. I think we'll try to get some
Send him to
information
Alabama.
to you about a first appearance. I think we will have that for you, maybe even as early as this afternoon, so that if you would like to try and attend or zoom into it, that you could do that. Yes, ma'am.
So will he not be coming to St. Johns County? He might go somewhere else?
At this point, that's still being determined. What we'll do is we'll find out where he's going to be and when, and we'll let you know. We'll notify you.
Okay? Yes, sir.
And will he be kept, and this might be for Director Cole, will he be kept by himself because of the notoriety and the horrificness of this case?
Juveniles are kept separately, typically from adults, even in adult county and state facilities, so that they have protocols for that. And if he's held in the St. Johns County Jail, they have their protocols. If he's held in another facility, not run by the sheriff's office, they'll have their protocols, but he will be separated. Yes, ma'am.
Has Fucci showed any remorse?
There's video that I think y'all have access to, you've seen. I think that answers that question. Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe that life in prison without the possibility of parole is appropriate sentence for this?
Well, first off, let me say I think it would be, but that's not the case for the defendant. He could receive a life sentence. He could receive less because of the Graham Miller decisions from the United States Supreme Court saying that it would be cruel and unusual punishment to have a minor sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. The irony there is, what about what happened to Tristan? Would you consider that cruel? I certainly would. But the bottom line is that he will be eligible for, if he got a life sentence, that's the first if, he would be eligible for a review at 25 years. And at that point, a judge could decide either to reduce his sentence, leave it the same, or release him. But he will get the benefit of a generous consideration or accommodation simply because he was not 18 years old at the time. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
He was under the influence at the time of the crime?
Not.
So, Alley Cat, you were right. He can get out at 25, even with life. I was wrong.
I don't believe so. Yes, ma'am.
Will there be another first appearance? If so, when?
There will be a first appearance. Not sure when, probably tomorrow, but what I said is we will get you that information. I'll ask Mr. Shorstein, our PIO, to make sure all of you are notified so that if you want to be there or at least zoom in that you can. Okay? Yes, sir.
Mr. LaRussa, if this case were to go to trial.
I didn't either, Tibori. I'm going to talk about it. This is almost over.
Well, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. The attempt is always made to try it in the jurisdiction where the crime occurred. And the judge makes the ultimate determination about whether or not to transfer venue. The defense may ask for a change of venue, but typically in my experience, the judge will attempt to do it in the jurisdiction where it occurred first. And if that doesn't work, then pick another jurisdiction. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You said that these were kids hanging out. Do you have any indication that they were linked romantically in some way, either before that night or as of that night?
We're continuing the investigation, not prepared to really talk about that today. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if Tristan was his target? We heard a rumor that he was trying to lure other girls into the woods that night. Do we know if she was specifically who he intended that night?
We have no information that he had specifically targeted her. The information we have is that he had told friends that he was going to kill someone and that it was imminent within the next 30 days or within the month.
Not for a minor,
and he
Lucy.
talked about that to some of his friends several times, but there was never a specific individual identified. And at this point in time, the sad reality is this could have been simply a case of the wrong place at the wrong time.
So did
Yes,
you
ma'am.
try and bring other girls out?
I don't believe that.
We have no information in that regard. No, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Does he have a criminal history? We can't see his juvenile records.
We-
Can you tell us about his past?
Well, juvenile records are confidential, but no, he didn't.
What about at school? Did he have any misbehaviors at school, getting in fights with kids at school?
I'm not prepared to discuss that at this time. Jessica?
The weapon that was found, was it like a pocket knife that you would carry around on a regular basis?
It was your typical folding buck knife. Buck knife. Buck knife, yes, ma'am. Buck knife.
Like for hunting?
Well, some people use them for hunting. And they have multiple uses, I would suspect.
Was his family aware that he carried around that knife?
Can't answer that question for you. Don't know. Folks?
Are they cooperating with you, his parents?
We have gotten a lot of witnesses that are cooperating, and that's about as far as I'm prepared to say at this time. Okay? Folks, I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate your patience. Again, I want to thank FDLE and the Sheriff's Office, and thank you for taking the time to spend a little time with us here today. Thank you.
All right. A couple things I want to say. I will make a video with more detail of the Supreme Court rulings. I'm going off the top of my head, so I don't remember the years. But not that long ago, Supreme Court ruled that no child under the age of 18 could possibly get a death sentence. They can get life in prison. What I did not know until this press conference, I didn't realize that, like, if you think about it, a lot of, and again, I'll get more details when I do a video. I didn't realize that, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of these kids that are family annihilators or murder, they are tried as an adult. I just assumed they were tried as an adult because of the heinous nature of the crime. Never thinking because the juvenile system is not set up for that. Juvenile system, like he said, is set up for drugs and fights and kids that don't listen to their parents and opposition defiant disorder and that kind of stuff, fighting with cops, anything, beating up their mom, or even child abuse murders that aren't tried as an adult, but, someone's molested and they kill the person. That I can see. But if you think about it, every single child in multiple states that were either family annihilators or killed somebody for no reason, they are tried as adults. I didn't realize the reason, though. So, see, you learn something new every day. What's up, Adrian? That was a hard no on the parents helping police. Now, he also said something that really, hit home. And that's it. This kid has no criminal record. Granted, he's only 14. How much trouble can he be in? But someone that's going to commit murder in such a heinous way, I don't know. You would think he had some kind of criminal record. So it'll be very interesting to see how it pans out. Say her name, who? Bailey? Her name is Tristyn Bailey. I talk to my son, explain to him. Now, one thing I do want to look at, because I don't really know. Okay. So this is your standard buck knife. You would not need 114 of those to kill somebody. I was thinking that maybe it was a really small knife, and that's why it took so many stabs, because it was a small, real pocket knife. But that's a real knife. I can't imagine it would take that long to kill somebody with that. After this type of crime, he doesn't need a record. Yeah, but I'm saying as far as him, was something leading up to this. Did he have a criminal record where he started out beating up animals? Was there any patterns of him being a psychopath? That's the kind of stuff I'm wondering. He took a hunter's safety cost at 11. Yeah, that's a big knife. Oh. But again, stabbing someone is personal. Yeah, folding buck knife. Same thing. Oh, all right. Hold on. Let me get the folding one. So here's a folding one. It's still a pretty fucking big knife. Could be that one. Could be that one. Imagine the tip breaking off exactly. Seems like they're pretty thick. That's a folding one. Look how thick that is. See, now, if it was something like this, if it was small like this, I can see 114 to actually kill somebody. If you're using a very, very small knife. If you're using a small knife like that, then 114 stabs doesn't sound that bad. If you know what I mean. Or like this. If you're using a knife like that, you would need 100 to kill someone. So we don't know exactly what type of buck knife it is. Here, like, look. Which one was it? But they said it was a hunter's knife, so I would assume it'd have to be a big one. Yeah, but a 14-year-old wouldn't know where to stab someone. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, let's say it was small like that. That would explain 114 stab wounds. They have Google just like the rest of us. What do you mean? I doubt this is out yet, but all right. Yeah, it's pretty much the same story over and over. I was looking to see if the autopsy was out yet. Oh, here's the...
Tristan was so young, as we're saying, just 13 years old, and so is her classmate, 14 years old, who's accused of killing her. Those grieving the developments of the last couple of days since Sunday are also young, and so much of this conversation is happening on social media. So tonight, on your side's Jocelyn Howard reports on some of those conversations. They're troubling. They're getting the attention of larger community members and also law enforcement.
The things that I saw that were most concerning were comments celebrating what had happened.
Comments attacking grieving classmates, even Tristan herself.
Avoid taking the bait. Right? So by taking the bait, by commenting and responding to somebody's inflammatory comment, what you may be doing is reinforcing that behavior.
Youth counselor Stephen Montesino says the comments are alarming. Crime analyst Mark Bachman goes as far to say it could get posters in serious trouble.
They shouldn't be surprised if law enforcement knocks on their door based on what they said.
Bachman says the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office has a task force dedicated to social media, analyzing posts that can relate to the Tristyn Bailey case.
What we're looking for is anything negative that they may have to follow up on that could lead to some type of criminal activity.
Trolling a tragedy. This is not just an isolated phenomenon. The viral hit by Jacksonville rappers Who I Smoke openly taunts victims, rival gang members they claim to have killed. It's online recklessness that Bachman says can have serious consequences.
There's nothing wrong with using social media and giving support in a very positive way. Anything negative or judgmental, I recommend against it.
Well, we want to thank Mark Bachman for that report, but also we want to point out something else. Over the past couple of days, a number of social media accounts have been making inflammatory and just downright vile posts about this case. They're intimidating Tristan's friends and her loved ones, and deputies say they have ruled out any link between those accounts and the murder, and they want you to know that. The sheriff's office actually named the 5 accounts in a post online, saying those tips have been flooding their office. The St. John Sheriff says that those leads have now been cleared.
Isn't that crazy? Like, who does that? And why would you want to do that? So trolls, listen up. You think you're all safe or not? You never know who's watching.
And we are learning more tonight about 15-year-old Tristan multiple times. I know those are details that are hard to hear tonight. And her death, bedroom of the suspect.
To a second-degree murder, and it's not clear.
Track Road in St. Johns County.
Around this particular area or crime. And so look at this, what we've seen here all around this particular area here at the Amenity Center where she was last seen alive, Tristan, that is. We had a couple bunches of flowers out here yesterday. Now it just wraps all the way around this little island of plants. And, I wanted to point out the aqua, the aqua and the teal, that is her favorite color. A true sign that people are still coming out, even just a few minutes ago, to lay flowers, that they are thinking about her and her family.
She'd always be the first one to give me a hug.
Tanya White helped coach 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey in cheerleading and cannot believe what's happened to her.
She just has, a beautiful smile and presence.
According to the medical examiner's office, Bailey was stabbed to death.
It's very sad for both families. It's very sad.
A report issued Tuesday by the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office says surveillance video shows Bailey walking with 14-year-old Aiden Fucci, now charged with her murder, around 1:15 a.m. Sunday at the community's amenity center. They are seen at a home surveillance video about 30 minutes later, walking in the direction toward the woods where Bailey's body was found the next day. And then 2 hours later at 3:27 a.m., more house surveillance video shows Fucci, the suspect, walking in the opposite direction alone. Tuesday, dive crews wrapped up their search of 2 lakes just yards away from where Bailey's body was found in the woods. No word on what or if evidence was found in the lakes. Meanwhile, Durbin Crossing neighbors and friends are mourning the loss of a vibrant and oh-so-young girl.
They want to know details, but it's no, they just don't understand. Like how, why Tristan?
Investigators say that she was found clothed and that there is no indication at this point of sexual assault. Live in St. Johns County, Jessica Clark, First Coast News on your side.
So we wanted to break down the information we learned according to the arrest report. It says surveillance video spotted what appears to be Tristyn Bailey and Aiden Fucci walking north from the amenity center at 1:14 a.m. 31 minutes later, 2 people are seen walking east along Saddlestone Drive at 1:45 a.m. One is wearing shorts, a hoodie, and white shoes with a black Nike logo. The other wearing black pants and a black shirt. That same camera then capturing one person walking back west wearing shorts, a hoodie, and this time carrying white shoes with the black Nike logo. That was around 3:27 a.m., 1 hour 42 minutes later. Police found clothing with blood on it in the suspect's bedroom. Fucci's home is about a third of a mile from the south end of a nearby retention pond where her body was later found near. And tonight, our verified team continuing to separate fact from fiction in this case. The state attorney's office verifying she was stabbed more than once. And the suspect took a Snapchat selfie in the police car asking if anyone had seen Tristyn lately. As for what's false, we've learned that Fucci was moved to Volusia County Detention Facility because there's no such facility in St.
All right, we knew all that. Now, I don't know if something popped up for you guys, but please tell me why a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old were out at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't care what day it is. That's a little too late. My almost 17-year-olds aren't allowed out that late. Why was a 13-year-old out at 1 o'clock in the morning? That's a little weird. It's sad. It really is sad. Right? Like, why was she out so late? And I really wonder what he said. Like, why does she want to go to the woods? I can't imagine what he possibly said to her. Maybe the parents don't care. But something's weird. I'd say my boys didn't go out there. See, I can see a boy, not a girl. Sage's boyfriend would skate over here at 2 o'clock in the morning if they were fighting. And I would drive him home. He'd be like, you could drop me off next door because I snuck out. I was like, what if something happened to you? I couldn't imagine that. It's crazy. It's so sad. And I think I brought you guys everything there is to date. He's known for saying wild stuff. None of her friends were like, hey, stop. That's what I'm saying. Bailey family is very close and well known. They have a GoFundMe. They had a $20,000 goal. They've raised over 60. And they've done all sorts of private fundraisers. But I started working on this at like 8:30. I don't think anything's come out since then. Oh, 1 hour ago. Let's see. Updated 1 hour ago. Let's try as an adult.
Live from the local station, News 4 Jax starts now.
Aiden Fucci, the 14-year-old charged with first-degree murder in the killing of a 13-year-old neighbor and schoolmate, is now in the juvenile wing of the Duval County Jail. This video is of his first court appearance since being charged yesterday as an adult. This is Fucci's new mugshot.
This conversation is happening on social media. So tonight, on your side, Jocelyn Howard reports on some of those conversations. They're troubling. They're getting the attention of law.
All right.
Morning, a St. Johns County judge ordered him held without bond, which is almost automatic in first-degree murder cases. Investigators say Fucci stabbed Tristyn Bailey to death and left her body in a wooded area in the Durbin Crossing neighborhood. News 4 Jax reporter Vic Nicolussi is joining us outside the jail downtown. Vic, did Fucci show any emotion during his appearance?
Mary, it did not appear that he showed any emotion. If you remember what...
That's the same one we watched already. We watched that. I think that's it. Oh, I didn't realize that Tristan's body was found on Mother's Day. I don't know why I didn't put two and two together. Yeah, that I read already. I don't know, Kelsey. Probably not. I mean, I always said if you're going to commit murder, do it, you know, before you turn 15 or 16, so you could definitely be tried as a juvenile. But I'm still not sure if a 14-year-old deserves life in prison. Now, 25 years, I kind of agree with that. I do. 25 years I can see. I can't see life when you're 14. Anything can change. Maybe they should do a foundation, maybe a cheer camp clinic. Well, her mom said in their memorial, I guess you would call it, that they definitely want to do things they want to make her memory, they don't want to make it in vain. You know, they want it to mean something. So maybe they plan on doing a foundation. It's so sad. Don't give anyone any bright ideas. But like I said, what bothered me is just that this case was completely overshadowed because of Cash, and everyone forgot about her. This says it was updated just now.
This is a cold-blooded murder of a 13-year-old young girl who did not deserve to die. And with that being said, again, I don't want to mention the number of times, but it's horrific. It's horrible.
Oh, that was it. I hate when they do that. He's the only suspect.
E aí, família? Suave? Como vocês estão?
Different case. Yeah, it's all stuff I already said. Okay, here we go. Back to the dad. Aiden Fucci's dad, Jason, was jailed for child abuse years before his son stabbed classmate Tristyn Bailey to death. Now, it's interesting. Look at his dad. Look at his dad, then. He looks pretty young. Same look in his eye. All right. Okay. Oh, look what we got. Looky, looky. Can you guys see it? I'm making it as big as possible. That's Dad's arrest record. It's filed October. Dad is born 8/9/84. He was 19 at the time. So he really wasn't a sex offender. He was 19. The girl was 15. Battery, engaging in consensual sexual activity with person under the age 15. Oh, lewd battery. Bond was $10,000. The defendant, 18, on several occasions had consensual sex with the victim, age 15, at his home located in Maiden Voyage Circle. Defendant was interviewed with his lawyer, being present, and admitted to having intercourse, anal intercourse, and oral sex performed by him by the victim. Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a sex offender. I'm glad I found that. This is sick, though. Crazy. She does look devastated. But I mean, what do you say? What can you say? This is crazy. Like, your son just commits this horrific murder. What can you say? Oh, that's what I wanted to look at. Wow. So there's this. One question, why does everyone hate Aiden? A murder happens every day in America, and those who are not in the news are not hated. Now Aiden is on the news, and now everyone hates him, while all the other criminals who have done worse things are not hated. Sounds like a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old. Wow, look at this. I don't know who put it up. This must be what the cops are talking about. These people are crazy. And it's probably all teenagers. That's insane. First degree butter. That's gross. This is crazy though. Whoever put this on all on the same page. $10,000 followers, really? This is where trolls need to fucking go, for real. Like, this is not even... This is disgusting. Same thing with this. See, but they said it was going to be 15 this year. That's impossible. Because Dayton's 2007 and he's only going to be 14. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. You want to know what's even sicker? Look at this. That was no joke. 12,000 followers on 2 posts. And that's his mom. 12,000 followers. Look how much different his mom looked. That's crazy. Crazy. I don't think he thinks he's big and bad. I don't know, for some reason, I don't think he thought that he would go to adult prison. I don't know. But imagine being his parent. What do you say to your kid that just brutally murdered this woman? What do you say? I don't even think there's anything you can say. It would be like, what the fuck? It's crazy. So, like I said, I'm going to get off and I'm going to shut it down so it doesn't automatically go on again. But I definitely wanted to bring this case public. For some reason, this side of YouTube, nobody's talked about it. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. Because the whole cash case took over everything. And so that's why I wanted to bring the case. I got a lot more coming. Like I said, I threw it together in 2 hours. I know it wasn't my smoothest transitions, but I wanted to bring it to you guys, and I didn't have a lot of time, and I wasn't even going to do it tonight. I was going to do an upload. I'm like, you know what? I kind of dropped the hint. I was going to do it before. Let me get it out there, and so here we are. It's important we say the right things before things happen. Exactly. And Ari, I'm very sorry for your loss. Thanks, Alley Cat. Like I said, I kind of threw it together. I was like, I gotta do this. So, alright, I'm gonna get off though. I will see you guys tomorrow. I am getting back into true crime a lot more heavily. I am going to be doing more uploads though, because you can edit and it's so much smoother and it comes out smoother than trying to do it live and getting all discombobulated. So there's that. But I brought you guys everything there is to date. I'm going to look at a couple of other things tomorrow or over the weekend, but I got to get some other stuff done. So I'll see you guys later. Also want to let you know Phoenix went back to the doctor today, got his ears cleaned out, and now he can hear everything. He said he hears a pin drop, he hears a bird, he hears everything. So he's doing good. Thank you, Juju, and thank you guys for the super chats. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.